In a political earthquake shaking the very foundations of Canada, the unimaginable has now entered the realm of possibility. Alberta, long at odds with Ottawa over questions of wealth, energy, and autonomy, has found an unexpected and powerful ally south of the border. U.S. President Donald Trump has stepped directly into the storm, throwing his full support behind Alberta's controversial 51st state plan. What began as whispers of frustration and quiet conversations in the Prairie legislature has exploded into the open, leaving Prime Minister Mark Carney's government scrambling to respond. Tonight, the question no Canadian ever thought they'd ask suddenly feels real. Could Alberta actually leave Canada to become America's next state? The tension has been building for years. Alberta, rich in oil and gas, has carried a disproportionate share of the national economy while sending billions in equalization payments eastward. Premier Danielle Smith has repeatedly warned Ottawa that the people of her province are growing restless, tired of watching their hard-earned wealth flow out while federal policies squeeze Alberta's industries. For many Albertans, the frustration reached a boiling point after Carney's latest climate policies, which imposed stricter carbon caps on energy production. Smith framed it as nothing less than a direct attack on Alberta's lifeblood. The grievances were there, simmering, but Trump's sudden involvement has thrown fuel on an already raging fire. In a rally-style announcement that shocked both Washington and Ottawa, Trump declared, "If Alberta wants to join the United States, I'll welcome them with open arms. It would be the greatest state, the richest, and they know it. The people of Alberta have been treated very unfairly, and I stand with them." These words sent shockwaves through the corridors of Canadian power. The notion of a U.S. president openly endorsing the breakup of Canada is unprecedented in modern history, and it struck at the very heart of Canadian sovereignty. Ottawa's reaction was immediate but uncertain. Prime Minister Mark Carney called an emergency meeting of his cabinet, vowing to defend Canada's unity at all costs. In a stern televised address, Carney insisted that Alberta's future lies within a strong and united Canada, not in a desperate gamble for statehood. Yet his tone betrayed something deeper, and unease, even fear, that this time Ottawa may not be able to hold the line. The federal government is confronting not only Alberta's rising separatist rhetoric, but now the weight of a sitting U.S. president giving it legitimacy. Danielle Smith, never one to shy away from political theater, seized the moment. At a press conference in Edmonton, she declared that Trump's support proved Alberta's grievances were not just provincial complaints, but international concerns. With the American president himself acknowledging Alberta's mistreatment, Smith claimed that her province's demand for respect could no longer be ignored. Her language was carefully chosen. She did not declare independence, nor did she announce a formal application for statehood. Instead, she left the possibility dangling in the air, like a loaded weapon waiting to be used if Ottawa refused to negotiate. The reaction among ordinary Canadians has been fierce and divided. In Alberta, some celebrated Trump's words as a validation of their struggle, seeing in them the promise of a prosperous future aligned with the world's largest economy. Social media lit up with messages of support, memes, and hashtags declaring #51STState. In other parts of Canada, outrage and disbelief dominated the conversation. For many, the thought of a U.S. president meddling in Canadian unity felt like an insult, a betrayal, and a dangerous escalation. Economic analysts have been quick to point out what is at stake. Alberta's oil reserves, some of the largest in the world, would instantly make it one of the most resource-rich states in America. Its GDP per capita would rival that of Texas. But the costs for Canada would be catastrophic. Losing Alberta would mean a massive blow to federal revenues, a devastating hit to national energy security, and an irreparable wound to Canada's global standing. This is why Carney's government is in chaos. The very possibility of Alberta leaving is enough to shake confidence in the country's future. Across the border, Trump's remarks have already begun shaping U.S. politics. Some Republican lawmakers have echoed his support, calling Alberta a natural fit for the Union. Others have cautioned that admitting a new state would ignite legal and constitutional battles of historic proportions. But in typical Trump fashion, the finer details seem less important than the message itself. By backing Alberta, Trump positions himself as a defender of energy independence and a champion of those who, in his words, are sick of being ripped off by the elites. Mark Carney faces a near-impossible balancing act. To appear weak risks emboldening separatists further, but to come down too hard risks pushing Alberta over the edge. Already, quiet conversations are reportedly taking place between federal officials and provincial representatives, with both sides seeking a way to de-escalate before events spiral out of control. Yet the genie may already be out of the bottle. Once the notion of statehood is legitimized by the President of the United States, it cannot easily be dismissed as fringe fantasy. Danielle Smith's political gamble is enormous. She knows that the majority of Albertans still have mixed feelings about leaving Canada entirely, but she also knows that anger toward Ottawa has never been stronger. By aligning herself with Trump, she gains international attention and leverage, but she also risks alienating moderates and inflaming tensions with other provinces. Still, her strategy is clear: force Ottawa into concessions by showing she has powerful allies who can't be ignored. For Trump, the timing is perfect. With the U.S. election cycle heating up, the chance to play kingmaker in Canadian politics allows him to dominate headlines and energize his base. His message is simple and provocative: Alberta is wealthy, Alberta is powerful, and Alberta deserves better. Whether or not he truly intends to pursue statehood is irrelevant. The mere suggestion is enough to destabilize his northern neighbor and rally his supporters at home. The uncertainty has left Ottawa reeling. Rumors swirl of possible economic retaliation against Alberta, potential legal battles in the Supreme Court, and even whispers of foreign policy disputes between Canada and the United States. Carney's government insists that Canada is not in crisis, yet every move they make seems to suggest the opposite. Markets have reacted nervously, with investors worried about the stability of Canadian energy policy. International observers are asking whether Canada's famed political stability may finally be cracking. Tonight, Canadians face a chilling reality. Their country, long considered one of the most stable democracies in the world, stands at a crossroads. Trump's endorsement of Alberta's 51st state movement has transformed a provincial grievance into an international crisis. Whether this moment passes as political theater or escalates into something far more serious will depend on the choices made in the days ahead. One thing, however, is already certain: the relationship between Alberta, Ottawa, and Washington will never be the same again. And so the question remains: is this the beginning of Alberta's long march toward becoming America's 51st state, or has Trump simply lit a fire that Ottawa cannot easily extinguish? For now, chaos reigns, and the future of Canada itself hangs in the balance.